Yeah, good evening, my host. Good evening, sir.
Prof, you are welcome on board.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Now, good evening, all. Thank you for being online today, and I pray that success in this. I pray for success in this next exam. Sorry, I have a background, no, background sound of mosque, not too far from where I'm actually holding this lecture. So just sorry for that. I cannot control it. Yeah. So just let's make do of the position we are in now. Now let's continue from where we stop. I hope you guys are preparing for the exam. I hope you are actually, I hope you are really preparing for this exam. Please, I advise exam. Don't be in a hurry. I always tell my students, don't be in a hurry. Don't be too nervous, too anxious. I guess if you are too anxious for this exam, it's possibility that you will not be able to see far. I guess there are lots of vital information that ordinarily, if you are patient enough, you'll be able to see it and you'll be able to process it. Let it not be that after you have submitted, that's when you are now seeing those vital informations. I get what I'm saying now. If you get into the exam, sorry for using your time, please. This is also very key. If you get into the exam, please try as much as possible to calm down. And as we get in the first 5 minutes, it's possible you don't write anything. It's not going to make you fail. The first 5 minutes, this is to assess the questions, where they actually brought the question from, what exactly is the question all about, which one are you picking out of these questions. That's planning. You need to bring planning into that exam. I guess you have your wristwatch or what, a small round clock that you take along. Take water in case of if you're thirsty. I guess you can have a chewing gum if you can. Try to hold like 3 or 4 biros. Take 2 calculators. I guess if you make sure the calculator you are using are those calculators that you have been used to. I guess what I'm saying now. Don't just go to them and go and buy a calculator that you want to use for the exam when you have not been using the calculator. I guess even eat before you go to the exam, or unless those people are fasting, But if you are not, eat something light. Don't go on empty stomach. You will not be able to process the way you should. I get me. There is a positive correlation between you eating and you being able to use your brain. I get me. Go and look into research. I get what I'm saying. Now, all these are factors that plays against student performance in the exam. Not only the content of the exam, preparation is also key. Some students that should have passed this exam will probably be due to preparation issue. It's very important, please. I will still talk more before I finish this class, so that I will have to put it in our head what we need to do to passing this exam. It's very important, please. Now let's go on. Now we are on variance analysis, And under the variance analysis, I think we have been able to take a question the last time. Now, let me quickly take another question before moving into another area of the variance analysis. Under variance analysis, there are three forms of variance analysis. The first one is when you're talking about the normal variance. That's what we discussed the other time. The second one is when you're talking about mix and yield variance. While the third one is when you're talking about planning and operational variance. Now, in the variance analysis, there are times that the examiner will also bring in issues around the variance analysis. Issues in the sense that they will bring in what markup, they will bring in margin, they will bring in marginal, they will bring in absorption. All these things are things they can play around for you in the exam. I get what I'm saying. Now, let's look at an example of this, what they play around it. Apart from knowing the formula, there are other things they can inject into variance questions. That if you are not grounded in it, you may not be able to resolve the questions. Let us look at the one they set in November 2014, question 2, EBEC Limited. I get it now. Let us look at it before we move on to mix and yield variance. November 2014, question 2. That was EBEC Limited. I get it now. I hope you guys have looked at this Goodland Limited. Goodland Limited Division 2A happens to be November 2000. I advise you to look at this Goodland Limited. I pray my network is not fumbling today. It's already showing me that it's not stable. Now, if it's logged me up, please, I'll come back online because it's very critical this time. And we're hoping that the variance analysis will come out this time. Just hope it came out last time and you can still repeat it. Now, let's look at this EBEC Limited. EBEC Limited happens to be 2014 November question 2. Let us look at what exactly they were asking under this EBEC Limited. Let's read it. EBEC Limited manufactures a standard product and operated a system of variance accounting using a fixed budget. It means that it's operating a system of variance accounting. Now, as a newly appointed management accountant, they now say as a newly appointed management accountant, you are responsible for preparing the monthly operating statement. In the exam, if the examiner talks about operating statement, what they're actually talking about is that they are talking about a profit statement. I hope you are getting what I'm saying now. Now, as a newly appointed management accountant, you are responsible for preparing the profit statement, monthly profit statement or monthly operating statement. Now, extracts from the budget for the standard product cost and actual data for the month ended 31st December 2013 are given below. Let me read that again. It said extract from the budget. They extracted from the budget for the standard product cost. It means that what is from the budget now, is the budget that you used to prepare the standard. Now, what is the standard cost and actual cost, actual data for the month ended 31st December 2013 as below? They gave us the standard information. That's what they set as standard for the organization. And they also gave us actual information. That's what they actually give. I get me, or actual information for the period. So these are two things that they said they can cost data. They first give us the standard. Let's look at the standard information they're given. They said budgeted sales and production for the month are 20,000 units, and standard cost for each unit of production is this. Now look at it. They said budgeted sales and productions. What do we budget to sell and what do we budget to produce? They budgeted to produce and sell 20,000. That's the estimate. That was the estimate of what they expected to want to produce and sell. They already budgeted that at the beginning, and the cost they set at the beginning was also this. Look at the budgeted cost. They said direct materials is what? They're having two materials, material A, material B. Direct material A is what? 10 kg at 2 naira per kg. That's what is set for material A to be used. When they're using material A, they said that they are going to use 10 kg of material A, and each of these kg costs 2 naira per kg to produce one of the product. For material B, the standard was 5 kg at 10 naira per kg. That's that. So, and the direct wages, that's how much they are looking at paying their workers. They want to pay 5 hours at 6 naira per hour. So 5 naira and 6 naira per hour. What's the total of that? The total of that is what? It means that they want to use 5 hours, and for each of the hours, they pay what? 6 naira per hour. So in that instance, they now said the fixed production overhead is absorbed at 200% of direct wages. They did not give us variable overhead, but they said fixed production overhead. The way they absorb it in the cost of products, they absorb it using 200% of the direct wages. What's the meaning of that? Can anybody tell me the meaning of that? When they say the fixed production overhead is absorbed at 200% of direct wages. Is there any information to that effect? Anybody quickly? If they say your fixed production overhead is absorbed at 200% of your direct wages, if you are in the exam, what will you say? What will you do in the exam for that fixed production overhead? How much of that fixed production overhead is going to be absorbed? What's your view about that? Anybody? Waiting. Waiting. If they tell you that your fixed production overhead is absorbed at 200% of direct wages, what's the meaning of that? Okay. Okay. 12 naira, I think. Okay, so you think Olakule, 200% of 6 naira. Okay. 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 Charles Gaba, 60 naira. Okay. Okay, thank you, Charles. Olakule, thank you. You think maybe Wiki? Okay. Okay. You said okay, 12 naira. That would be 200% of 6 or 5 or 5. 6 naira. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Now, it means that whichever the way you want to look at it, if they say fixed production overhead is absorbed at 200% of direct wages, that means that whatever your fixed production, your wages is, 200% times 2 of it is what will be your fixed overhead that you have to take cognizance of. I get what I'm saying. So if you say 12 naira, yeah, that's good. Because if you say 12 naira, we are actually talking about what? 6 times 2, which is 12, times 5, which is 60. I can also say 5 times 6 is 30, then I multiply by 2, that's 60. So it is still very correct when you say 6 times 2, which is 12 naira per hour. Then you multiply it by 5 hours to give you total variable by cost. So what they are saying in essence is that so far they did not give us the fixed production overhead, but they said it's absorbed percent of direct wages. This means that it will be double of the worth of the wages you are reading now. It's still budget. It's still direct wages, direct fixed overhead is being calculated to give a margin of 20% of sales price. I hope you get what I'm saying. They said the budgeted sales price has been calculated. It means that what is their budgeted sales price? That sales price they budgeted to sell, what they budgeted to sell the product. It has been calculated to give a margin of 20% of what of sales price. You want to ask me what's the difference between margin and markup? When they say your budgeted sales price what is calculated to have a what? A 20% of sales price, a margin of 20% of sales price. It means that whatever your sales price is, 20% of it will be your profit. Whatever your sales is, 20% of it will be your what? Your profit. That means that you can only compute the 20% on sales, but not on cost of production. Sales margin is a profit percentage you express on sales. But in this instance, are we given sales or selling price? No. But we are given a margin of 20%. Assuming you are given a selling price now, I would have said, or sales, you have said 20% of sales will be my what? Will be my profit. But no, they are not given. But you are given the information about the cost. This is the cost. That means that even if I want to get that profit, what will I do? I will need to go and convert the margin, which is 20%. I will convert it to what they call the markup. Whatever I now get in markup will now be a profit on cost. I hope I get what I'm saying now. A markup that I now get will now be a profit on what? On cost. Then I can now get that markup and now use it to multiply whatever the cost I get. That will give me my what? Budgeted what? Profit. So if I now add that budgeted profit to this cost back, I will get the budgeted selling price. So what they are saying in essence is that you are given a budgeted sales price to be what? As they've calculated it to have a what? A margin of what? Of 20% of sales. And when we say 20% of sales, we are having cost here. So it means that you need to convert sales to what? To margin to markup. So they can what? You can compute that markup on what? On cost. So I can get the profit of the what? On cost. And now add the profit back to the cost to get the selling price. Okay. General said I should go again on how to get how to get the sales. Okay. Now the way you get the sales is this. Now take your Bible and your calculator. Even there is no even need for that for now. Now they gave us a margin to be 20%. And a margin means a profit on what? On sales. A profit percentage on sales. That means as far as a profit percentage on sales, are we given sales here? No. But you are only given cost of material, cost of labor, cost of fixed overhead. That means that this margin of 20%, if you want to really get that margin, that profit, you need to convert this margin back to what? Back to markup. Because markup is what? Is profit on what? On cost. So if I convert this margin to markup, then I will get profit on what? On cost. Is it that profit on cost now that I get now? Assuming it's 16%, let's assume. That profit on cost now, I will now go and apply it on all these costs. I'll add all these costs together, material, labor, fixed overhead. I'll add it together. Whatever I get as that cost, I will now find the percentage of this markup that I just derived now. I'll find the percentage of it on the cost. So what I get is now the profit on cost. I get it now. Now that profit on cost I get now, I will now add it back to that cost. If I add it back to that cost, cost plus profit, is it not sales? Then I will now get my sales. That is how to get your sales. So it means that you need to convert the margin to markup. And from there, you now use the markup, you can put it on the cost of productions. Whatever you get is your profit on cost. Then you add it back to that cost to get your sales. Okay, I've explained. Thank you. I hope you're able to get that space. Now, they now said, that's the standard information. They now give you the actual data for the month. This was not what now actually happened during the period. Now, what happened in the period are that actual data for the month ended 31st December 2013 is this. What's the actual data? They now produce 19,000 units. Now, you need to be very careful. What did they budget to produce? You will see it in the standard information that the company budgeted to produce what? 20,000. This is what we had in mind to produce. But what do we now eventually produce? We now eventually produce 19,000 units. And this is the actual information now. How much do they now sell the product now? They now sold it at what? At a price which is 15% higher than the budgeted. I would have derived my budgeted price, selling price the other time, initially, by doing the conversion, adding it back, determining cost, profit on cost, add it back to the cost, and get selling price. Now, whatever I get at that value, then I will now increase it by 15%. Assuming in that instance I got maybe 14 naira. If I now increase the 14 naira by 15%, that will now give me the actual selling price of this product. Can you now see? For you to get the actual selling price, you must first go and derive the budgeted selling price. And for you to get the budgeted selling price, it means that you need to first convert margin to markup. When you now get the markup, you now apply the markup on cost to get the profit on cost. The profit on cost now, you now add it back to what? To cost to get the what? Total selling price or sales. If you now get the total sales, you can say that then, or get the total selling price, what do? Then you now increase the total selling price or better selling price by what? By 15%. That will now give you the actual selling price. So actual selling price will be derived from budgeted selling price by increasing the budgeted selling price by 15%. That is that. They now say direct material consumed. Look at direct material consumed. They consume 192,000 kg of worth of material at this price and 96,000 at this price. And they said the direct wages incurred, they now incurred 92,000 hours at 6.40 kobo per hour. That's what? That's the direct wages. Why the fixed overhead is what is actually 580,000. You are required to prepare the following. One, the operating statement for the month ended 31st December 2013. They said the operating statement for the month ended 31st December 2013. For the month 31st December 2013. Now, if they say operating statement, are they talking about budgeted operating statement or actual operating statement? Anybody tell me? Are they talking about budgeted operating statement or actual operating statement? When they say the operating statement for the month, is it budgeted operating statement or actual statement? Please, can you guys hear me? Okay, actual. Thank you. Thank you, Adedayo. Actual. Can you guys hear me very well? Because Jerede is saying, okay, actual. Thank you. Thank you. Oluchi said she cannot hear me. Can you come? Okay. Actual. Thank you. It's actual. So it is actual that they asked to find. So unless they say otherwise, you should consider actual. Now, let's look at it, please. Now, it's actual. So that's that. So let us now, the second part of the question is said, calculate the direct material cost variance, direct labor variances, and variable overhead variances and sales variances. So now if I am to do this, now, so let's look at it. If I'm to compute the actual variance, actual operating statement now, you will now say, look at it, you now say the actual profits will now be determined by saying what is the actual sales for the period. They actually sold 19,000 units, right? And the selling price is 230. How do they get this 230? You now need to work it out. That was the working I was talking about the other time. The actual selling price, you work from budgeted selling price. Now, if you want to get the budgeted selling price, you need to first get the budgeted cost. If you get the budgeted cost, look at the steps. So if you get the budgeted cost, that's the cost of material A, B, labor, and the fixed overhead. If you get the budgeted cost, if you add it together, you give you the budgeted cost, then you will now go ahead and now convert the margin to what? The margin to markup. To markup. So if you get the markup, that markup now, you now compute it on that budgeted cost. Whatever you get, you now add it to that budgeted cost, you now give it the budgeted selling price. Whatever you now get a budgeted selling price, you now increase it by 15% to get the actual selling price. You can see that's the only thing that looked clumsy in that questions. Now let's look at it. Let's look at the way they worked it out. Let's look at it. The first thing is that you need to first find what is even the budgeted cost or the standard product cost, and the selling price are calculated as follows. Now let's also look at it. You know, in the standard information you are given, how much was the cost A they said? They said to use 10 kg at 2 naira per kg, which is 20 naira. For B is 5 kg at 10 naira per kg, that's 50 naira. And direct wages is what? Is 30 naira. And I told you that if you are finding your fixed overhead, you need to double your direct wages, because they said 200% of direct wages obviously will be your what? Your fixed overhead. That means that if my direct wages is 30 naira, then if I double it, I get 60 naira. You can see what they did. They said 5 hours at 200% of what? Of a 6 naira. So whatever you get is what is 60 naira. Or I could just double this straight, I get 60 naira. If I add this together, this is my budget cost, or we call it standard cost. Now, so far I'm having my standard cost to this, and they said that my margin happens to be 20%. If you are converting margin to markup, what do you do? If your margin is 20%, you just say 20% over 100 minus 20. I get what I'm saying now. It means that 20%, which is the margin, I get what I'm saying now. If you want to convert it to markup, you now say over, let 100% stand for sales, and the profit is what? 20%. 20 from 100 is 80, which is the cost. And you now see, that's why you now say 20% over that 100 minus what? Minus the profit, which is the 80. So it means that you're having 20 over 80. Are you getting me? If you look at what they did there, you now say 20 over 100 minus 80 minus 20, which is 80. 20 over 80 times what? That value. Are you getting me? That cost. Because with this now, you have converted this to what? You have converted this to what? To markup. By mere saying the profit over 100 minus what? Minus the profit. Because 100 minus profit is cost. That means that you now say 20 over 80 times 160, which is 40 anyway. So that means that the profit, the standard profit is what? Is 40. If you add the 40 to 160, you have 200 naira. That means that the 200 naira is the what? Is the standard selling price. The standard selling price is equal to 200. Therefore, what is now the actual selling price? Actual selling price, they say you are going to increase the standard selling price by 15%. That's why you see that they increase it by 15%. 115% of 200, that's 130. That means that my actual selling price now has now been determined as what? As 230 naira. So far it's 230 naira. Then what next? You will now go ahead and now start your computations. Now, the now say you should prepare your what? Your actual profit. The actual profit is now 19,000 times 230 we just got now, which is 4,370,000. The material A happens to be 460,800. Actual of material B is now to 400. Direct wages is 588,000. Why fixed overhead is what? Actual fixed overhead is 580. You have 2,532,000. If you move it from 4,370,000, you have 1,838,000. These are the actual profit they made. Actually, what? It's actually 1,838,000. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Now, let us now start with the material variance. My own approach here is that I would prefer you use the alternative approach. They use two approaches here to get your material cost variance. I guess you know, obviously you can use this, but I think it's important that you can use the alternative. But let me explain this, then I can now use the alternative. I think I prefer you to use the alternative they put here. What is the standard? What is the direct material cost variance? So So determine direct material cost variance. What do you do? You now multiply. You now say what is the standard cost minus actual cost. What is standard cost of material? That's standard quantity at standard price of the material. Now, what is the actual quantity of material? That's actual quantity at actual price. So if you remove actual quantity at actual price, which is the actual cost, from standard quantity at standard price, which is standard cost, then the difference is what give you the material cost. Let's look at standard cost would what would be standard quantity at standard price of material. Let's look at the standard quantity of material. Let's go back to the question and see what is standard quantity of the material. We are dealing with material A now. Material A. You know, in the last class I told you, if you want to get standard quantity of material, total standard quantity of material, then what is the standard quantity they set to produce one? Then you now multiply that with actual productions. I hope you are getting what I'm saying now. What is the standard quantity of the material A? They needed to produce one of that product. They needed what? 10 kg. That's 10 kg. So far you have 10 kg. Oh, Olushi, you can't hear me. Ilobi and Ifelua, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Let someone tell me. My host, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Oh, you can hear me. Okay, it means that should be Oluchi then. Please, Oluchi, please kindly, you can restart your system, please. Yeah, restart your system. I think the network is a bit favorable today. Now look at this, please. Now, to get the standard cost, how do you get the standard cost of material A? You now say, what is the standard quantity of material A? Standard quantity of material A obviously will be standard quantity per unit. How many standard quantity they want to use to produce one? That's 10 kg. Then that 10 kg now, you now multiply it by what? You multiply it by the actual quantity of the product produced. You know, in the question, I told you that the actual quantity produced is about 19,000. What they produce, they say actual production is 19,000. That means that if I set to use 10 kg as a standard to produce one of that 19,000, that means that I set to use 10 kg to produce one of the 19,000. Then how many of that product I produce? I produce 19,000. That would be 10 times 19,000 will give me the standard quantity of the material. Then I will now multiply by the standard price of each of this quantity to give me the total standard cost of the material. Oh, Ilobi was asking me, how did I get the 160? Okay, you said I should explain that again, Abi. Okay, let me first take it from Ilobi. Ilobi said, how do I get the 160? Now, to get the 160, you add up all the standard cost. You understand? Look at it now. The standard cost is what you are adding together. This 160 here, they give us standard cost of material, 10 kg at 2 naira per kg, that's 20 naira. 5 kg at 10 naira per kg, 15 naira. Direct wages is 30 naira, and 200% of direct wages is what? Is fixed overhead, that's 60 naira. Everything is 160. What they added together was this. Look at what they added together. Let me show you what they added together. The standard cost was what they started with. These are the standard costs. All this information in this budget. 10 kg at 2 naira, 5 kg at 10 naira, 5 hours at 6 naira, and double of this 5 hours at 6 naira per hour is what? Is a fixed overhead, which is what? 5 times 6 is 30. Then if I multiply 30 by 2, that's 200% now. That will give me 60. I get it. So all these we added together. Okay, look at the way we added it. 10 times 2 is 20. 5 times 10 is 50. 20 plus 50. That's 70. 5 times 6 is 30. That's 100. Then the fixed overhead will be what will be 60. Because double of this 30 is a fixed overhead. The 100 plus 60 is 160. That's standard cost. Hope I can me now. So that's the way we got it. Please. So now I've actually gotten what is my standard cost is. Now, so far I've gotten what my standard cost is to be the standard quantity is 10 kg times how many units did they produce? 19,000. That will give me standard quantity of material times the price of each standard price of each of the material is 2 naira. So if you look at it, I hope you know the way I got my 2 naira from. Standard price of the material is 2 naira. You can see 2 naira. So that's what they now use to get the standard cost. Then what is now the actual cost? The actual cost, you just go into the questions and go and look at the direct material consumed. How much is it? 192,000 times 2 naira 40 kobo. That's the actual cost. As far as I'm concerned, that's 192,000 times 2 naira 40 kobo. Look at it. That's what they did there. 192,000 times 2 naira 40 kobo. That's the actual cost. Can you not see? The standard cost they wanted to incur was 380,000. Why the actual cost is now what? 460,000. So it means that you are incurring more than what you envisage to incur. That is what? Advance, 80,800 advance. I hope you understand what I'm saying now. Okay. The same thing you do it for material B. For material B, how many kg of material B, how many kg do they want to produce? Anybody? Oh, you are welcome, Ilori. Okay, you're welcome. Now look at it for the B again. How much is standard cost? Standard cost is standard quantity per unit, that's 5 kg. If you go and check it, standard quantity per unit was 5 kg. Can you see 5 kg? But we produce 19,000. That's 5 times 19,000. That's total standard quantity. Then how much is standard price of the material? That's 10 naira. So that would be 5 now. 5 times 19,000 times 10 naira. Okay, let's look at it. Sorry, 1 minute, please. Okay, now look at it. To get for B now, look at what you do. You now say, what's standard quantity per kg per unit? 5 kg. How many units? 19,000. And the rate per kg is what? 10 naira. So if you multiply, you will give a standard cost of 950. But the actual cost is now 96,000 times 9 naira 40 kobo. They already put it there. That actual cost is what? 96 naira times what? Times 9 naira 40 kobo. That will give you the actual what? Actual cost. Let's look at the actual cost here. 96 naira, 950 kobo. 96,000 units, 950 40 kobo. That will give you 902,400. So it means that we set to, how much is that? 47,600 favorable. So in that instance, the total will now be the addition of what? Of the first one, A, and the B, which is what? 80,800 advance plus 47,600 favorable. That will be, you subtract it now, then advance will take the sign. But that's one that having the higher value. So that's what will be the what? The material cost variance. Though in the exam, in this submission, they now put it in two forms. The alternative approach is that you now look at it for what? From price and usage angle. I get it, and I know you can do that. Easy. When you say you want to get the standard price minus actual price and actual quantity, I get it. This is the price variance now, and this is the usage variance. The price variance for A was that they wanted to what? They want to buy it at 2 naira, they now buy it at 2 naira 40 kobo. What is the actual quantity they bought? I guess what I'm saying, that they bought actual quantity of 192,000. They want to buy the material for 10 naira, they bought it at 9 naira 40 kobo. actual quantity of the material in the question is 96,000. That means that we want to buy 2, we now bought at 2.4 is adverse. We want to buy at 10, we now buy lesser than that, is favorable. Addition of this will give you 19,200 adverse. The same thing with this also. You still get the same answer they got on the problem. So that is that. Let us now look at the labor. Let's look at the labor. Now, if you look at the labor very well, you are given a standard hour at standard price, standard rate. That's that. So we now want to see how do we now compute the variances of labor. I can do labor rate and labor efficiency variance. I get what I'm saying now. Let's look at the what standard. Look at it. They now push it together as standard cost minus actual cost. Because if you look at it from cost, it will be, you can now divide it into rate and efficiency later. But standard cost now, what's standard cost? That's standard hours per unit times what? No, total standard hour times what? That's standard rate. How many is total standard hour? They want to use 5 hours to produce one, and they actually produce 19,000 units. Then the total hours to be used, to use is what? 5 hours times 19,000. But we need to monetize it by multiplying by what? By standard labor rate, which is 6 naira. Everything is now standard what? Standard labor cost. But the actual labor costs are given in the questions. You go and look at the actual information, like 2,000 times 6 naira 40 kobo. That's actual information. Then it means that what we are actually paying for as material is more than what we envisage to pay. It means that you are paying more than what we envisage to pay. That means that will be adverse variance. That will be adverse variance. Now let us look at in this labor cost variance that it cannot be subdivided into what? Labor rate and labor efficiency variance. Any questions, please? Ask me questions. Okay, the alternative approach is not clear. Oh, okay. Let me quickly explain then. If you're let's look at the alternative approach then. If you say it's not clear. Now look at it. The alternative approach is the one that I explained to you in the first questions now. When you are finding, okay, let's take for instance material A for instance now. You need to find what is the material price variance and what is the material usage rate. If you go to material B again, you find what is material price variance, you go what's material usage variance. So whatever they put is material price variance, and whatever they put here is material usage variance. Let's look at the material price variance. Material price variance is saying that what is the standard difference between the standard price and actual price of material. And if you go and check it very well, what is standard price of material here? Let's look at the standard price of material. You go to the standard informations. Can you see? What is the standard price of material A? 2 naira. For material B, 10 naira per kg. Then what's the actual price of the what of the material? You go to the actual information. They will tell you the actual price. Can you see the actual price of material A is 2 naira 40 kobo, 9 naira 40 kobo. So it means that you now need to use those information to now determine what will be the variance here under the alternative approach. Under the alternative approach, it now be for the material now. Material A price variance is 2 minus 2.4 times 1 is 2,000. That is actual quantity of the material. We have that. Now for material B, the standard price was 10 naira, while the actual price dropped to 9 naira 40 kobo. You can check it, you have 96,000. Then for this one now, actual price of material exceeds what? The standard price. That will be advanced. That's why you have advanced. Actual price of material is lower than the standard price. You have what? 96,000 actual quantity produced. You have 57,600 favorable. If you now remove favorable from the word stand adverse, you now get the adverse of what 19,200 adverse.
Is there light?
Power bank.
I just charge. Remove the power bank. I'm charging it. Can you buy me ring?
Yeah, Mr. Well, help us mute.
Sorry.
Yes.
Let me. We are running to the logic in the. Let me tell. Jáde fún wọn.
2374. 2374.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Now, so you can now see the way they arrive at this their standard price and actual price now. This was the standard price of material. And that's the price of material A. What's the actual price of material A? 240 kobo. That difference is the price difference. Then you now multiply by what's the actual quantity of that materials that they purchased. That was in 192,000. That will give us that. The same thing applies to B. I'm sorry, the video is in the network. What threw me out then? I'm so sorry. So let us see. So as I was saying, so there are different ways of doing these things. So we have been able to look at the direct and indirect way. I mean, look at it. These are alternative way. Now you can see for the alternative way, if you want to determine the material usage variance, that will be standard quantity minus actual quantity times standard price. And if you want to get standard quantity, if they give you standard quantity per unit to be 10 naira, then how many units, standard quantity of material per unit to be 10 naira, then how many units of that product are you producing? You know, our product has always been 19,000. I hope I get what I'm saying now. Then it means that 10 kg is what we want to use to produce one of that 19,000. Then how many did we produce eventually? 19,000. That will be 10 times 19,000. That is standard quantity of material A used. But what's the actual quantity? You are given in the questions, your actual quantity of material A. Because if you check it very well, you are given the actual quantity of material A to be, look at it, actual quantity of material A to be 192,000. Therefore, so far it's 192,000, then you now put it there. That actual quantity of material A is now 192,000. Then you move it from this standard quantity you derived. Then what they have is what you multiply by standard price. You know, you can see the standard price there initially. The standard price are 2 and 10. 2, that's 2 times that value will give you 4,000 advance. The same thing you will do for B. Standard quantity of what of material B used to produce one product is what is 5 kg. Then how many of these products are you producing? You're producing 19,000. That will give you the standard quantity of the materials there. But the actual quantity in reality happens to be 96,000. You find the difference, that's times 10. You have what? The 10 is standard price. You can see the standard price of B, B, that's times 10. You have what? 10,000 adverse. So 10,000 adverse plus 4,000 adverse will give you 14,000 adverse. That means that the variance there is what is 14,000 adverse. I hope you can see. Now let us now look at labor. You know, the materials are split into two. That's why you have to do for A and you have to do for B. I guess similar. So if you now look at it eventually, you now say, what's that the direct labor cost? Okay. Ilori, you said standard quantity AB. Oh, okay. You are asking that why am I using standard quantity instead of 20,000? Ah, well, okay. The way it is this. You see, that's the concept of variance analysis. You see, if you are finding standard quantity, if you are finding standard quantity, listen, oh, this is very important for your exam. As far as variance is concerned, all the aspects of variances. The question Ilori asked now, that why are we using 19,000 instead of 20,000? It's very key. That's very sacrosanct to that what in that variance analysis. Now, the question is that you need to understand what is the difference between standard quantity and what budgeted quantity. Let me explain. When the examiner asks you to pick standard quantity of material, it's different from projected quantity. There is only one scenario that can make the two to be the same. Standard quantity is mostly different from projected quantity. But sometimes, once in a while, standard quantity of material and projected quantity of material will be the same. That's why sometimes we use it interchangeably. The standard quantity is the same as projected quantity. That is a scenario that can make the two to be the same. But before I can go into that scenario, let me quickly explain what we mean by the standard quantity. You see, when we say standard quantity of material, let us use flour and bread. I think I explained that the other time. Let's use flour and bread quickly. If we use flour and bread, now, before you start your production at all, assuming you set that you are going to use 2 kg of flour to produce each of the bread you want to produce. Before you produce, you have already set that 2 kg. That means that the standard quantity you set to produce one of that what you want to produce, which you don't know yet, is 2 kg. That's standard quantity, right? But that's for standard quantity of flour now. Flour. That I said I wanted to use 2 kg of flour to produce whatever I want each of what I want to produce. But at the time you are setting that 2 kg, you did not know what exactly you are producing. Not until when you now start the production and you now produce and you now see what your actual production is. Therefore, for me to know how much is the standard quantity I set to produce what they actually produced, I get it. Then I will now say that 2 kg I set times what is the actual bread I produce. I get what I'm saying now. If I multiply the 2 kg, which is standard quantity per unit, if I multiply by the number of units of bread, it will give me 2, as the number of units of bread is 1,000. It will now be 2 times 1,000, which is what? 2,000 kg, right? That will be your total standard quantity. That means that when you are looking for standard quantity, like in this instance here now, when you are looking for standard quantity is determined by saying standard quantity per unit times what we actually produce of the products. And in this instance, we produce 19,000, not 20,000. So my standard quantity is what do I want to use in producing one, and now multiply it by what they actually produce to give me the standard quantity of what I produce. Now, but what is now the budgeted quantity? Now, budgeted quantity also is close to standard quantity in the sense that what was the standard quantity that we said the other time? We said 2 kg, and what we want to use to produce one. But what do we now budget to produce? We budgeted to produce 20,000 units. I get what I'm saying. Now, can you now see? If you want to now get the total budgeted quantity now, it will now be what was the standard quantity they used to produce one, 2 kg. Then what do we budget to produce? 20,000. That will give me what? 40,000 what? 40,000 kg. That is now my budgeted quantity. Why my standard quantity is what? Is not what? Is not that. It is based on what? On actual productions. So what we are saying in essence is that my standard quantity is different from budgeted quantity. My standard quantity is the standard quantity I set to produce one times actual production of that product. That is the reason why we are multiplying by 19,000, because actual production is 19,000. But assuming what you are looking for, say for instance, you are doing fixed overhead now. If they ask to get volume variance, then you want to use budgeted what? Budgeted hour. Now, budgeted hour or budgeted quantity in this instance will now be standard quantity you set again per one times budgeted output, which is 20,000 now. Can you now see the difference now? The difference is now that whenever what we budget to produce is different from what we actually produce, then my standard quantity will be different from my what? Will be different from my budgeted quantity. But at any point in time, if my budgeted quantity and actual quantity, I get what I'm saying, are the same, then my standard quantity and my budgeted quantity will be the same. Therefore, my standard quantity is a function of actual productions, but my budgeted quantity is a function of what? Projected productions. I hope you are getting that now. So that's the main difference between the two. It means that the two can be the same at any point in time where what we budget to produce is the same thing as what we actually produce. We are expecting the standard quantity and standard and budgeted quantity to be the same in that instance. But in the other instances, then they will not be the same. Okay, you can't hear me? Oh. If you can hear me, let me know, please. Anybody hear me there? Can't hear me? I will restart now. We are still clear, we are still loud. So please, okay, thank you so much. Thank you, we can hear. Please, for those of you that cannot hear me, please, can you please kindly look at your system, please. Let us quickly go on, please. Let us now look at the standard labor, the direct labor cost now. Okay. Now, sorry. Okay. Okay, thank you that you can hear me now, Roslyn. Now look at it. Let us now look at the direct labor cost variance. Direct labor cost variance is now the difference between what is the standard labor cost and what is the actual labor cost. What is standard labor cost? Then you now go and look at what is the standard hour they want to use to produce one of the product. The standard hour is what? Is 5 hours. Then how many do we actually produce? You'll be multiplying by actual productions. You now say 5 times 19,000. That will be the total standard hour. Then you now multiply by standard labor rate, which is 6 naira. I hope you understand the other time when we say standard labor rate was 6 naira. Then if you go and check it, you now say, look at it. Let me quickly check it for you so that you can see what I'm doing. You can see what's the standard labor hours to produce one. Standard labor hours was 5. Then how many do we produce of the product? The actual productions. Don't go and use the word budgeted production. Budgeted was 20. By looking for standard though, that hour, it should be based on actual productions. Now you now say 5 hours times actual productions, and actual production happens to be what? 19,000. That's what we actually produce. Then if it's 19,000, then now say 5 times 19,000 times standard labor rate, which is 6 naira. That's why you saw that computations in there. That is said for labor, you can see 5 hours per unit times what they actually produce of the product, 19,000, times the rate per hour, that's 6 naira, minus what is the actual labor hours. You are given in the actual information, and the actual rate happens to be 6 naira 40 kobo. You find this, you have 18,800 adverse, and the reason why it's adverse is that what we now spend or the hours they use is now more than the hours we envisage. We will use 588,800 instead of 570,000 hours. That's that labor rate variance, please. If you now say what's labor rate variance, we're actually looking at the difference between the standard labor rate and the actual labor rate times actual hour. In this instance, you're now breaking it down. You know, the total of it is this, is the labor cost variance. But labor cost is divided into rate and efficiency. You can see this is efficiency now. So you now say labor rate variance is what? The difference in the rate times the actual hour. You know, the rate difference is now 6 and 6.4. That's 6 naira and 6 naira 40 kobo. Whatever you have, you now multiply by actual hours used. Because if I said I wanted to spend 6 naira and I eventually spent 6 naira 40 kobo, that's adverse because I'm spending 40 kobo extra above what I wanted to sell. Then I now multiply by what? The actual hours they use, which is what? 92,000 hours. Whatever you get is your what? Labor rate variance. In this instance here now, our labor is very worse, is not favorable because what? Because actual rate is more than what? More than the standard rate. That means that you have 36,800 adverse. Now, apart from that, you now go to efficiency variance. That efficiency variance is talking about what is the hour we want them to use and what is the hour they actually used. That is standard hour minus actual hour times the standard rate. Don't forget, when I was getting my standard hour, I said you will say standard hour per unit times actual production. Don't go and put times projected productions. It's not done that way. It is actual that you'll be dealing with. So it means that what? If I'm looking for the labor efficiency variance, I will now say standard labor hours minus actual labor hours times standard labor rate. Standard labor hours is now 19,000 times 5 because 5 hours was what is set to what? To produce one of that product, right? It will now be 5 times what? 19,000, which is what? 95,000. Why the actual labor hours in the question happens to be 92,000. If you find it, it will be 3,000 times 6, which is 18,000 favorable. So the labor efficiency variance is now what? 18,000 favorable. Now that's labor. Even if you add this, labor efficiency variance, which is 18,000 favorable, if you add it with labor rate variance, it should give you the labor cost variance. Let's confirm. Labor efficiency variance is what? 18,000. You now say 18,000 plus, what is the labor rate variance? This one is adverse. You just say 18,000 minus 36,800. 18,000 minus 36,800. Found the labor cost of 18,800 and it must be adverse. Now, aside that, we now need to talk about what? Labor efficiency, the fixed overhead cost variance. What is the fixed overhead cost variance? That is how much do we want to incur and how much do we eventually incur. I get what I'm saying. If you go and check, what is the fixed overhead, standard fixed overhead, what is the standard hours for fixed overhead? If you go and check it, the fixed overhead is a function of the labor now. I guess what I'm saying. And if you look at it, they did not give any information about what fixed overhead. They just say they use 200% of labor to do it. Now, if you now look at it, for me to now determine the fixed overhead, I will now go back to your labor. The labor of 5 hours. So if it's a fixed overhead, also with 5 hours. 5 hours times 19,000 productions. I guess that will give you the total standard hours. But what will be the rate? The rate will not be 12.69 again. What will it be? Can anybody tell me what will be the rate of the fixed overhead now? As we want to do fixed overhead, let someone tell me. What will be the rate of fixed overhead in this instance then? Oh yeah, everybody, start telling me. What will be the rate of what of fixed overhead in this instance then now? If the wages rate is 6 naira, and I'm not looking for what? The rate of the fixed overhead. What will be the rate of fixed overhead? Who is talking? What will be the rate of the fixed overhead? Okay, 12. Thank you. Thank you, Olamide, Komolafe, Uweke, and Charles. Thank you. That will be 12 naira. Can you now see? That will be 12 naira. So it means that why is it 12 naira? Because double of this 6 naira labor cost, labor rate is what is fixed overhead rate. So how do you now get the word fixed overhead cost variance? You now see how many hours there is direct wages, which should be the same thing of fixed overhead also. That will be 5 hours times 19,000 times what? Times 12 naira. I guess that will be the what? The standard fixed overhead cost. Now let us now look at it. That will be 5 hours, that's for 1, times 19,000 units, actual production, times what is standard fixed overhead rate? 12 naira. That's what will give you 1,140,000. You now say minus what's actual overhead, fixed overhead, 580,000. If you remove 580,000 from 1,140,000, you have what? 560,000 favorable, because we wanted to use 1,140,000, we now use 580,000. But you can now split, that's the total now. That's the fixed overhead cost variance in total. But it can now be the way they ask them in Goodland Limited, November 2014, question 6. Now when I had to now start computing for each of the words of the variance, for each of the components of the fixed overhead. One of the components is what? Fixed overhead expenditure variance. Another one is fixed overhead volume variance. Fixed overhead expenditure variance. Now see, what's fixed overhead expenditure variance? What do we want to spend and what do we actually spend? We want to spend how much fixed overhead expenditure variance means that what's our budgeted fixed overhead cost and what's our actual fixed overhead cost. Our actual fixed overhead cost is 580,000. But how many of the costs are we budgeting? We are budgeting to produce 20,000. Then you multiply it by what's the budgeted cost, I guess, which is 60 naira. So if you multiply it, you have 1.2 million minus 580, you have 620,000 favorable. I hope you are getting it. That's what we wanted to spend. It was 1.2 million. We now spend less than it. 580,000. It gives you 620,000 favorable. Now, the next aspect of that fixed overhead is volume. Now, for the volume, you can use output, you can use hour. Let's say we use output now. For output, what is the standard fixed overhead rate? For standard fixed overhead cost, I'm sorry. If you check it, what's standard fixed overhead cost? You will not use rates here now when you are using output. But when you are using hours, you will use rate. Now, what's standard fixed overhead cost per unit? It is what? It is 60. Because 30 naira will be the what? For variable overhead, for labor, then you multiply it by 2. Will give it for the what? For the fixed overhead. You can see what I'm saying. Now, what was the direct wages cost? Standard wage cost 5 times 60, which is 30. And they say fixed overhead will be 200% of 30. How much is that? 60. That means that standard fixed overhead cost happens to be 60 naira. So far is 60 naira. Let us see what we can do with that 60 naira. That would be 60 naira times how much was the actual output? 19,000. How much do we budget to produce? We produce to have a volume of 20,000. We now have the volume of 19,000. That's an adverse variance because I budgeted to incur the fixed overhead volume. What I budgeted to produce is 20,000. That's where you look at the volume. And what I produce, I actually produce 19,000. I'm producing less than what I envisaged. So what's different? Different is 1,000 times 60. That's 60,000 adverse. That gives us 60,000 adverse. So now the fixed overhead volume variance can also subdivided into what? Fixed overhead capacity variance and fixed overhead efficiency variance. Look at it. They said fixed overhead volume variance is also split into what? Into the following. Now have fixed overhead capacity variance and fixed overhead volume variance. Now, if we are looking at fixed overhead capacity variance, we are looking at what was the capacity of the company and what is now the level of their operations. I guess what I'm saying now. Look at it this way. Now, their capacity is what? Is this budgeted hours? We are estimating it in hours anyway. The capacity, what they can produce. They can produce, what is the hour they can use to produce what they can produce? It means that they will use 5 hours per unit, and they want to produce 20,000 units. So this is now their budgeted hour. This hour they budgeted to spend on that 20,000 units. I hope that's what I'm saying now. Now, if that is it, then what is now the actual hours spent now? Go and check it. The actual hours spent now is now what is now more than the budgeted. I get what I'm saying now. So it simply means that if you're now looking at capacity, I have a capacity of what? It's less than, I'm sorry, I have a capacity of 100,000 hours, and I'm operating at an actual hours of less than that capacity. That means I'm operating less than what I should have operated at. That means that that's an adverse variance. I hope you understand the meaning of that adverse under the capacity. Adverse variance is actually talking about what is the budgeted hours and what is the actual hours. Budgeted hours is your budgeted capacity. We're expecting that if you want to produce now, you must produce higher than that budgeted capacity. But if you're now producing lesser than that, because I have 5 times 200, 20,000, which is 100,000, I get what I'm saying, hours. That's what they budgeted. But what do you now actually use in hours to produce what you are producing? You actually now use what? 92,000. So 92,000 minus 100,000, that times 12, which is the budgeted fixed overhead rate. You need to multiply it. You use standard fixed overhead rate, or call it for the budgeted fixed overhead rate, which is 12. So if you now multiply, you have 96,000 adverse, which is the volume capacity variance. you know, I told you that the volume is divided into two. The second part of it is what? It's efficiency variance. And when we say efficiency variance, it's the normal way of looking at efficiency. I mean, labor efficiency. You now say, what's the standard labor hours and what's the actual labor hours times what's standard fixed overhead abortion of it. Our standard hour is what? Is 5 hours per unit times 19,000 units. That's standard hour. But at the end of the day, we actually, let's even compound that 19,000 times 5. 95,000. 95,000 minus what's the actual hour? 92,000. It means that the hours we have used now is still less than the hour they wanted to use. That would be favorable because I had the mind of using 19,000 times 5, which is 19,000 times 5, which is 95,000. But what I now actually use now is 92,000 hours. That means that it's been favorable. I guess me that that's favorable. So 95,000 minus 92,000, whatever you have 3 times 12, you have what 36,000 favorable. That's volume efficiency variance. Now you now go to sales margin price variance. Give me like 2 minutes, please. 2 minutes.
The price is ìgbà tí mo ń ṣe o. The price variance.
Thank you. Now, we're now looking at sales margin price variance. When we say sales margin price variance, what do we mean by sales margin? We are looking at profit, sales variance, sales price variance, and sales volume variance. We're now looking at the difference between what the price we are looking at selling and what the price we actually sold. I hope I get what I'm saying now. At what price are we looking at selling, and at what price we actually sell the product? If you look at it, sales margin price variance. So what was the price we are looking at selling? Let's go and check. I think there was a mix up in that question there. What's the price we are looking at selling? And what's the actual selling price? Now, you know, the other time we computed it, I think we did it in our workings the other time. I think we had it in our workings. What's the standard selling price? Is this 200? Standard selling price was actually 200. Standard selling price actually 200. Why the actual selling price actually 230? So what's the difference between this 200 and 230? That's 39. Can you see the standard selling price 200? So though there are other approaches they can use, but I think this approach is better. How much was the price you wanted to sell initially? 200. And how much the price we actually sold? We now sold at what? At 230. So that means that 200 and 230, the difference is 30 naira. So that is the standard price difference. You now see, even if we say 70 minus 40, the way they arrive at this 70 and 40, there must be a way they did the analysis and they arrive at it. But what you would have put there for convenience is what standard margin was 200. And the actual margin was actually 230. I guess what I'm saying now. So if you look at it that way, 200 minus 230, how much is that? 30. It will still give us this 70 minus 40, which is 30. I get what I'm saying now. So that 30, you can put 200 there. Standard margin was actually 200. Put 200 there. Standard margin, that's standard price. I guess what I'm saying now. So standard price and actual price. I think the margin they are using the profits in this instance here. I think they were using profits in this. Let me even look at how they got there in the 70 and 40. What are the standard profits they're looking at making? Let's go straight and do it. So I won't waste time, please. Now, what we do for convenience here is what standard price. Use the standard price, which is standard price was actually 200 naira. Then instead of this to be 40 here, you put 200. What is the actual price? Actual selling price is 230. Instead of you to put 70 is 230. 230 minus 200 is 30. 30 times what? Actual quantity of sales volume. That's 30 times 19,000. If you use your calculator on it, 30 times 19,000, you still get 570,000 favorable. I hope you know the reason why it's favorable. The reason why it's favorable is that we wanted to sell something at 200. I get it, we now sold it at 230. I get it, we are actually making a good bargain. That's why it is favorable. Please note it. I would prefer for convenience, use standard price, standard selling price and actual selling price multiplied by actual quantity sold. I hope you are getting it for convenience, please. Now the next one is sales margin. Now, see, sales margin volume variance is talking about the variance in the volume of sales. How much do we budget to sell and how much do you actually sold? Then you now value it using the standard profit. I hope you are getting me now. So if you look at it, we budgeted to sell 20,000. I hope you still remember in the questions that what we budgeted to sell was 20,000. And what we actually now sold was 19,000. When I budgeted to sell 20 and I sold less than this, that means that 1,000 I'm selling is a what? Is a variance. And that variance is an adverse variance. Because I'm selling lower than what I budgeted to sell. I wanted to sell 20 and I sold 19,000, then I multiply by what? Standard profit. Now, what is standard profit? We got it the other time. The standard profit the other time. Let's look at standard profit. Let's look at the workings. You can see the standard profits here. 20% margin. 20% is 40. This standard profit to get the standard selling price. Standard profit happens to be 40. So with that, you just multiply the difference in the units of 19 and 20,000 times 40, we give you 40,000 adverse. I hope you get what I'm saying now. That is that. Evaluate questions. So please, I will employ us to read more so I can get more information of it. Now, the second part of the variance is the what? Is the mix and yield. Let me explain the mix and yield for us so that you can understand what we are doing. Now, when we say that one, they classify it in your pack as advanced variance. And when we say advanced variance, we mean that that's to take it a bit higher than what it used to be. I guess what I'm saying now. What is what? For under the advanced variance, you need to look at those key variances in the one we just finished. Those key variances are what you are going to expand on. Now look at it when you are doing advanced variance analysis. Now, those key variances that you need to talk about is material cost variance, labor cost variance, and sales variance. Now, for the material cost variance, material cost variance is divided into two. That's variance. The same thing, labor cost variance is divided into two: labor rate variance and labor efficiency variance. While the last one is divided into sales profit volume variance, and sales profit volume variance, and sales price variance. Or you can just put it this way: for sales, we just do what? Sales price variance and sales volume variance. Can you now see it now? These are the normal subdivision of the what? Of that variance. Okay, any question? Okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Laurie. So now let us look at it. You see, those three variances are highlighted now: material, the labor, the sales are very key. These are what they are asking you to compute when you are doing advanced variance analysis. Like I said, let me start from the first one, which is material cost. When we say material cost is divided into what? Into price variance and usage variance, right? Now, that usage variance that you are talking about, that usage variance is now subdivided into two parts. That is when you now say what? Sales mix variance and sales you say material mix variance. I want to say material mix variance, and material what? Yield variance. Can you now see? It means that material usage here can be subdivided into what? Into a mix variance and into a what? Into a yield variance. I hope you are getting that now. That is one. Two, if you are looking at the labor cost variance, your labor cost variance is also subdivided into two. That's labor rate variance and labor efficiency variance. Now, your labor efficiency variance is what you now subdivided into two, which is the labor mix variance and labor yield variance. Can you now see those subdivisions? Now, if you now go and look at sales now, the sales now is divided into two. You have sales price variance and sales volume variance. You see that volume variance is also subdivided into two. The sales volume variance will now be sales price quantity variance, sales price, or you can say sales price variance, and sales what? Sales volume variance. Okay, we are under volume sales now. The sales, let me say it again. Sales is divided into two. That's sales price variance and sales volume variance. You see, that volume variance now is what is now divided into two. That's when you now see we have sales mix profit variance and sales what? Sales quantity profit variance. Now, all this grammar, I'll break it down now. I'll break the grammar down. Let's start it from material. I told you that we have material price variance and material usage variance. Now, what about if the material they are using to produce our product are more than one? I hope you're getting me now. Take, for instance, you are producing cake, and the cake you are producing, you are using flour and butter to produce the cake. Don't you think that you need to further analyze the material usage into mix and yield variance? Because it is not only one material you are using butter and what and milk. Let's say we are using butter and flour to produce one cake. It means that sales volume variance, the when you're using material, that's material usage variance. I'm sorry, material usage variance. Now you will now subdivide this into what? You subdivide it into material mix variance and material yield variance. So in the exam, your material usage variance now, if the question states that you are using more than one material, I hope I get what I'm saying now. Then, after you have gotten your material usage variance, then it is subdivided into what? Material mix variance and material yield variance. You now want to see what is the material mix variance? You now say the material mix variance is now talking about what is the impact of the change in the mix of that material on the usage of material in total. The mix in the sense that if you set that you want to have a standard mix, the way you want to mix them, maybe flour and butter, you want to mix them in ratio 2:2. That means that if you are using 2 of flour, you're using 2 kg of flour, you're using 2 kg of butter. That is the standard mix. But don't forget, the way we now eventually mix it can now be different from the standard mix. It can now be ratio 1:4. 1 of what? Of flour and 4 of what? I mean 1 of flour and 4 of what? Oh no, 1:3 and 3 of what? Of butter. Can you now see that I set to mix it in ratio 2:2? And I eventually mix it when I want to produce in ratio 1:3. I guess that difference in what in that mix of the material is what we term as what? As mix variance. I hope you understand what I'm saying now. That's what the term as what? As a mix variance. So mix variance is talking about when you are having what? You are having different, you are having the way you want to mix the material different from the way you actually mix it. There is no way to not affect the quantity, the usage of the material. That's that. What is different in the mix variance is that what the mix will differ, but the quantity you are using is the same. I hope I get what I'm saying now. That total quantity of the material A and B are the same. You just need to now find a way of knowing how did they want to mix it and how did they eventually mix it. That is what will give you an insight into what is the computation of mix variance. Why yield variance? Under the yield variance, we are assuming that the mix is constant. That's the one you want to mix and the one you actually mix is very constant. Don't forget, so far is very constant. When you want to mix it is the way you actually mix it. But how many are you really mixing? The total quantity I want to mix is different from the total quantity I actually mix. That means that there will be difference in the standard quantity and actual quantity, but the mix of what of the two will be the same. I guess what I'm saying now, in the sense that assuming you are given that total standard quantity of material is what? Is 1,000, and the actual quantity of material is what? Is 800. Can you now see? And you are producing two products, product A and B. So what's the meaning of that? It means that the total standard quantity was 1,000, while the actual quantity happens to be 800. Now, how do we want to mix them? The standard mix is ratio 2:2. We now say ratio 2:2, that's 2/4 times 1,000. That is 500 for A. Why the second one 2/4 times 1,000? That is 500 for what? For B. I hope I get what I'm saying now. Can you now see we are sharing the 1,000 into what? The standard mix. Now the actual quantity of the two materials is now 800. I guess that actual quantity will still be shared in the ratio of what? Of the standard mix. I guess and what's the standard mix? Standard mix is still ratio 2:2. You see share 800 in ratio 2:2, which is 400 and 400. That is what we are saying under mix and yield variance. Let us look at it. Under the mix variance, let's look at the format. Please follow this format in the exam. It will be very helpful. The format of the mix variance. Now look at it. We are having two material A and B, and we now want to see what is the actual quantity, which will be the same. Actual quantity in the first instance, you value it as standard mix. While actual quantity in the second instance, you handle it as actual mix. It means that we are looking at the way we want to mix and the way we actually mix. I guess that is what we are looking at under the mix variance. Immediately you find this, you just remove this from this. You now multiply by what? You now multiply by standard price. That means that if you say A minus B, can you now see A minus B? What is A? This. What is B? This. So A minus B times C, and this is your C, your standard price. you put it there. The same thing with B also. You do the same thing with B. Now, that is the material mix variance. Now, in this analysis here, you realize that what is changing is the mix, but the quantity remains constant, both for what? Actual and standard. But if you now look at the yield variance, in the yield variance, the mix is constant, but the quantity in total is what that will change. What do we project to use and what do we actually use? Now, let's also look at it. It means that material A and B now, standard quantity and standard mix. That is the projected quantity now. What do they even want to sell? Standard quantity and standard mix. You pick it. What is now actual quantity and standard mix? Then what do they actually sold now? How do they actually sell? Whatever you sold now, actual quantity now, or whatever you use, actual quantity of material at the standard mix. Now, what is the difference between these two? Under the mix variance, what happened? We use the different mix. Standard mix is different from actual mix. But under the yield variance, look at the mix now. Standard mix and actual and standard mix is the same. It means that under the yield, we don't talk about the mix. Whatever the mix you are going to work with it. What we are talking about is the difference between the standard quantity and the actual quantity. I hope I get what I'm saying. If you find that, then you just value this standard quantity as standard mix and actual quantity as actual mix. Then you now say standard price, you now say yield variance. So we have seen material mix variance that it is a mix that will be changing. And we have seen yield variance is the quantity that will be changing. So the examiner can now ask you to what? To work with that question, with that format. Look at it. So please notice that there is a mix, there is a yield variance. Now, for that now, we can now go into sales. Sales also is having mix and the yield variance. Now, the sales mix variance is the sales mix profit variance, while the yield is sales quantity profit what? Profit variance. Now let me now explain the sales now. The sales is actually talking about a situation where a company is producing 2 or 3 products that are similar. They are producing 2 or 3 products that are similar. And when they are producing 2 or 3 products that are similar, it will look the same in the eyes of the consumer. If consumer did not consume A, he will consume B. If he did not consume B, he will consume C. So that scenario is what we are creating there. I get similar. So in a nutshell, in the eyes of the consumer, the product look the same. It means that products look the same in the eyes of consumers. So how do you now know what is our sales mix profit variance? Sales mix profit variance is saying, how do we even want to sell them? Is it a ratio? When we say 30 of this, we say 20 of this. Or when we say 100 of this, we say 30 of this. That is what? Is the mix we are talking about. So it means that actual sales at what? At actual mix. You can even start from this standard mix. Actual sales at what? At standard mix. That is it. You now say actual sales at actual mix. That's what they now actually what? Actually sold. I hope that's what I'm saying now. That is that. So for you to do this, what is different? It's the mix that is different. This standard mix is the way we want to mix them. While the actual mix is the way we actually mix them. Then you now put what? Standard profits. You use profits to value it. Don't use price to value it. Then you now get your mix variance. Because how do you get your mix variance? It will not be coming. If you look at the mix variance now, you now see A minus B times C, A minus B times C. Whatever you get here, I get me. You move this what you get here from it, you multiply answer by standard profit, you get what? You get the mix variance. Now, but the sales quantity profit variance in this one, the mix are the same, but the quantity you want to sell is not different from the quantity you actually sold. I guess what I'm saying now. That is what sales quantity profit variance. And what is there in this instance there, the mix will be the same. Standard mix and standard mix is the same. What will be difference is what is different between the actual sales and what and projected sales. How much do we want to sell? That projected sales, and how much you actually sold? That's actual sales. All this you now put it together. You now see A minus B times C, which is the what is the variance here. I hope I get what I'm saying now. So that is that for what? So sales quantity profit variance is when you take a question that you what is be more meaningful. Any questions? Any questions? So let us, before I move on to plan operational variance, let us quickly take a question here. Komere Limited. So when we say Komere Limited operates a standard costing system. The standard cost information is presented in the cost card below. You're now given the standard cost information presented in the cost card below. Look at it. This is direct materials. You know, they're having two materials now, material A and B, and these are the prices and the what and the cost. Okay, so I'm saying that. So now for material A, I set to use 20 kg. At how much? At 100 naira per 1,100 naira per kg. That's 2,000. Now the second one is we have a direct material of 30 kg at 18 naira per kg. That's 2,400. Now direct labor now is now, can you now say we have skilled and unskilled? Look at the skilled. This is skilled labor. You use 10 hours at 14 naira per hour, which is 400. Unskilled labor is 10 hours at 25 naira per hour is what? Is 250. This one is not 400, is 250. The second one there is 250. And variable overhead is what? Is overhead cost is 10 hours at 20 naira per hour, which is 200. So the balance is what? 5,250. That is what the standard cost. That's the standard cost. I guess you know how they get the 5,250. You add the what direct material of 2,000. You add it with the 2,400. That will be 2,000 plus 2,400 plus 800 plus 1,000 plus 1,000. I hope you know the meaning of 1,000 I did. No, this one will not be 1,000. No. This one is 4,400 plus 400. That's 4,800. This one is 250. 4,800 plus 250. That's 4,800. I'm sorry. Plus 250. That's 5,050. You now say plus 200 now. 5,250. Can you now see? Direct labor is now 5,250. They added all this together. Now, what they now ask us to do, they now say that's standard information. They now say the actual result of the month of October 2015 is given below. What's now the actual result? What they now actually incurred? You now say this thing, they now brought in another variance now. Variant. You now say this is the material they purchased. This is the amount of that material, and this is what they consumed. Let me ask you a question. If you are in the exam and they say you want to compute your material price variance, are you going to use whether you have an idea of what you're saying? If you are computing material price variance, are you going to use the material they purchased or the material they consumed? Which one will you use in that instance? In this one, there is no acronym. Chiamaka, there is no acronym in this one. What you just need to do is to just follow this format. Just follow the format. If I'm doing it, you understand when I do it. You see this format here. You just follow. You know the way you know it. The way you know the format is this. Look at it. When I was talking about mixed variance, what will be changing is a mix. Look at it. The standard mix and actual mix. Is the quantity changing? No, actual quantity is still the same thing as actual quantity. But because it's a mixed variance, what will change is the mix. I get what I'm saying now. But if it is a yield variance, what mix will not change. The quantity is what will change. Look at the mix variance, yield variance. Yield variance, standard quantity as standard mix, at actual quantity as standard mix. Can you now see the standard mix and standard mix is the same? Because we are not computing mix in this instance, we are computing yield. Then it is the quantity that will not change. It means that in this upper part, which is mixed variance, the quantity is what is the same, but the mix differs. But at the yield variance, you see that the mix is the one that is the same, but the quantity is the one that differs. I hope you get what I'm saying now. So please notice very well. So even the same thing with sales and even labor. So if you look at it very well, you understand that what now you are now given the direct labor, and this is actual cost now. I was asking you a question the other time, nobody answered me. Okay, consume. No. If you are computing material price variance, in the sense that if the examiner give you the material they purchase and the material they consumed, what you will compute, the one you will use is the material purchase. I hope I get what I'm saying now. So what to compute your material price variance. Don't forget, if the examiner give you material purchased and the material they consumed, if you are computing your material price variance, the price will be based on what you purchase. It will be what material purchased variance that you want. The purchase is what you will use. But if you are now computing the material usage variance, it is the material you consume now or use. That's what you use. You will not use the material, the one they purchase again now. I hope you get what I'm saying now. So purchase and use, you use purchase when you are purchasing the material. You know, if it's material you are computing, material price variance, you compute based on material purchase. But if you are computing material usage variance, you compute based on material consumed. I hope I get me. So please, it's consumption you will use. Now, in that instance, so let us now look at the actual result for the month of October 2015. It's given below. What's the actual result? What now happened during the period? We're now given that the actual result for the month of October 2015 is given below. Direct material. The direct material A and B, this is what they purchased, 105,000 and 148,000. This is the amount and this is what they consumed. I hope I'm getting it. If you are finding material price variance, you go to purchase. If you are finding other materials, you go to consumed. Direct labor. Direct labor is what? The actual direct labor is what? We have skilled, we have unskilled. Now, for hours now, the skilled use 56,000 hours, the unskilled use 56,000 hours. Everything is this amount. The amount is this. So there is no intermediary in that one. Hours and the amount. That's it. And the variable overhead is this, and the actual production is 48,000. This production is 4,800, not 48,000. Please. Require calculate all the variances, relevant variances, and two, what are the possible causes of the what of the variances computed? What are the possible causes of what of the variances computed? Now, if you are calculating all the variances, you need to first calculate for materials also. Now, you now see. Now, material price variance. Now, they first computed it as a normal variances because they did not specify the way you should go. So they will pick the one they want that. For the material price variance, we are looking at the difference between the price of the material times the actual quantity of the material purchased. You go and check it. What is the standard price of the material and what is the actual price of material? The standard price of the material is this 100 naira. Hope you can see. Now you can see 100 naira. But are we giving the actual price of material? No. You need to now work the actual price of material yourself. Now, actual price of material, can you now see how much is the amount of the material cost? It's 10,290,000 divided by 105,000. 10,290,000. 10,290,000. 290,000 divided by what? 105,000. That should be 98. So what do you now need to do in this instance? You now say actual price is what is 98. You can see that's 10,290,000 divided by 105,000. That will give you whatever you get. You move it from 100 and multiply it by 105,000, you get 210,000 favorable. You do the same thing for what? For the other material. You can see the other material, the actual quantity of the material purchased is 148,000. Standard price of material is 80. Why the actual price is already looking at this actual price? Just divide the actual cost by the actual labor, actual quantity of the material. Whatever you get is what is your answer. If you find this, you have 148,000 advance. Do you understand that? That's material price variance. Now, material usage variance, we are looking at the usage variance. That's the standard price into standard quantity minus actual quantity used. Now, what is standard price? These are the standard price, 100 and what, and 80. You can see standard price is 180. But what is now the standard quantity? You know, the standard quantity I told you the other time, how do you get it? Get the standard quantity per unit multiplied by actual productions. If you check it very well, what is standard quantity per unit in that equation multiplied by actual productions? Let me check. Standard quantity per unit. Now, I'm coming. Material usage variance. Want to get the standard quantity away? Okay, let's go back. Now, what's standard quantity per unit? You go to the standard. This is standard quantity of material. Now, and what is standard quantity is 20 kg. That's standard quantity per unit. Then how many did they actually produce? You now go and multiply the 20 kg by what they actually produce, which is 19,000. How many did they actually produce in the period? Let's see. Let me confirm that. They actually produce what in the period 4,008. Sorry, I told you that this 4,008 is 4,008. So you now say 20 times 4,008. Hope I get what I'm saying now. 20 is the material per unit. Then how many units is 4,008? So that is that. Let us look at it. Material usage variance, 20 times 1,000, 4,008. That's standard quantity. But what's now the actual quantity of the material? What? Of the material used. In the course of computing material usage variance, it is the usage that you will use. You will not use purchase. But in the course of computing material price variance, it is what purchase you will use. You will not use usage. So in this instance, you are going to what? Use material usage. I hope I get what I'm saying now. That's very instructive. So this is the standard quantity of the material, and what's the actual quantity of the material used. If you go and check the actual quantity of the material used, that's it. That's the consumed 99,000. Can you see? You just pick it. You just pick in 99,000 there. So can you see? This is the standard quantity of material now. This is the actual quantity now. If you subtract it, you now get what? The difference. You now multiply the difference by what standard price of 100. That will give you 300,000 adverse. Because if you find the difference here, you multiply by 100, you get 300,000 adverse. Now the next one is what? Is the second one, which is standard price was 80. Standard quantity per unit was 30 kg times the actual production of 480. That's what? That's the standard quantity. But what's now the actual quantity of material? Go and check it. Actual quantity of material there is what? 144,000, right? Is it material consumed or material used? It will be material consumed now. If you go and check the material now, you now see what's the actual quantity of material consumed is 144,000. I hope you understand what I'm saying now. So that is that for what? For that, you can now see 48 times 20 kg minus 99,000, you get this. Now the next one is 48 minus times 30 kg minus 144,000, which is the actual quantity of material consumed. Whatever you have there, I think this one is equal to this because this one they say is equal to this. Whatever you add there, multiply by 80, you have a 0. That means that the material usage variance is in total for A is 300,000 adverse, while for B is what is new. So these are what we have done in the past. But the next thing they will be talking about, which here I will stop today because what was the problem? Okay, Charles, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, if you look at it very well, if you now want to now compute the material mix variance, can you now see? We are computing material mix variance. Okay, time is off. Time is off. Wow. Wow. And we're about starting the mix and yield now. But no problem. I will try and make a way around this to finish this, and if possible, I take another topic, maybe pricing the last because I'm looking at pricing also. I get him. So let's stop it this way. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening, and I pray that success will be our portion this time. I just say, please, when you get to exam, please, I don't want you to be in a hurry. I told you initially, plan yourself very well. When you plan yourself very well, you will not be no shaking. I get me now. You see some of the students in the exam, they will be looking at their colleague when they are writing, they say, are we doing the same exam? Why those ones are writing and you are not writing, or you are still thinking, don't be lured away. It's possible that the other party is writing nonsense. I get me, you will not believe it. You'll probably be writing nonsense from the beginning to the end. Meanwhile, what you are writing happens to be the writing. But because of the fact that you do not believe in yourself, that you can do it, that's why you have to now start looking at others. I guess what I'm saying now. So, but if you are very, very sure of yourself, just calm down. Do your bit. You see more when you calm down in the exam. So I'm talking to all those people that are always those people that are always in a hurry in the exam. Please, I beg you. Please, I don't want you guys to be in a hurry this time. I will still give you a tip. Remind me that those tips I want to give you during the course of the next lecture. I guess which can assist us in passing without stress. I guess whatever you have learned is enough for you to want to clear the paper. Just do your own bit and pray to God. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. You can talk to me via WhatsApp. I'll be ready to want to listen. Thank you. Have a nice time. Thank you so much. My host. Yeah, you're welcome. Roslyn, thank you. Pelua, thank you. Laurie, thank you. All of you, I thank you guys. Thank you guys. So please, my host, please, you can log off, please. Thank you so much, sir. My host.